Good morning. Good morning. I hope you had a wonderful Easter, and I'm continuing my series on the portraits of the past. We are continuing down the genealogy of the Old Testament so you can see and understand the genealogies that are in the book of Matthew and the book of Luke that are often read at Christmas. So we're continuing our story with Abraham finding a wife for his son Isaac. And this account is in Genesis. It is an account of one of the patriarchs, and we are going to see how a servant of Abraham finds a wife for Isaac. So Isaac only turns up in this account for a few seconds at the end, and you'll see. I don't want to give away the ending, but I'm going to read out of Genesis 20. Let me see. Let me turn my pages here. Out of Genesis 24, and I'm going to only read select verses. So I'm going to skip a lot. So I'm starting with verse 1, but I'm going to skip through. Abraham was now a very old man, and the Lord had blessed him in every way. And one day Abraham said to his oldest servant, the man in charge of his household. So this man is in charge of everything. Apparently he hasn't turned anything over to Isaac. This man is running everything for Abraham in his old age, and he wants to set Isaac up for the next generation. He says, don't let Isaac marry any of these local Canaanite women. If you recall, Abraham had to go from his home in Ur the Chaldeans to Canaan, to the land that God wanted to give to his descendants, to Abraham's descendants. And so we see there's no suitable wife around for Isaac, and Abraham wants to definitely set Isaac up with the right wife before he dies. So he tells the servant, go instead to my homeland, to my relatives, and find a wife there for my son Isaac. And the servant asked, what if I can't find a young woman who's willing to travel so far from home? Shall I take Isaac there to live among your relatives in the land you came from? And Abraham gets real upset about that. No, Isaac is not to go back. You never go back. You always go forward. And Isaac has to stay in the land, get married, and continue to the next generation so that Abraham has these descendants. No, Abraham responds, be careful never to take my son back there. Why? In verse 7, it tells us why. For the Lord, the God of heaven, who took me from my father's house and my own native land, Ur the Chaldeans, solemnly promised to give this land to my descendants. And so he has to stay there. So this is God telling him what to do for the next generation. And he also says he will send his angel ahead of you, ahead of the servant, and he will see to it that you find a wife for my son. So Isaac's going to have an arranged marriage. He's not going to pick out his wife. When he sees her, he's not going to recognize her, except for the fact that he knows that the servant's going to bring a wife back for him. So this is perfectly acceptable in this time and place. Isaac's going along with this. He knows he cannot take from the Canaanite women around him. And he's going to agree with what his dad's doing for him. So this was not only Abraham's plan, it was also God's plan. In verse 10 it says, then he, the servant, loaded 10 of Abraham's camels with all kinds of expensive gifts from his master. He travels to the town where Abraham's brother Nahor has settled. And he went to a well just outside the town. Now it was evening, and the women were coming to draw water. And this is when Abraham's servant begins to pray. Whenever you're going to embark on a journey and you're going to do something important, you know it's going to be God and God's going to guide you. You're going to want to pray, because not only are you going to have that conversation with God, God's going to have that conversation back with you. So Abraham's servant begins to pray and says, O Lord God of my master Abraham, please give me success today and show unfailing love to my master Abraham. See, I am standing here by this spring, and the young women of the town are coming out to draw water. So he's saying, God, here I am. I'm in the right place at the right time. Show me the right woman. So this is my request. I will ask one of them, please give me a drink from your jug. And if she says, yes, have a drink, and I will water your camels too, let her be the one you have selected as Isaac's wife. So we want to note here that he is saying, I am depending on you. You have selected this woman already ahead of time. Just point her out to me so I can finish my mission for my master. So this is how I will know that you have shown me unfailing love to my master. The servant knows how important his mission is and to find Isaac's future wife. And it is like when someone from a royal family must find the proper spouse. They must meet many, many requirements because they will be carrying out very important tasks. And of course, they will be raising the next generation of royalty who need to be raised in a very particular way in order to carry on the work of the kingdom. So this is what this servant has on his shoulders. So the servant wisely asks God for help. He goes as far as to get very specific so that the right woman is identified. Now, today, someone might go on a dating website like Christianity.com or something like that. I don't know. I haven't been on one. But in this particular time, the servant knew the town's women would be at the well. So this is equivalent to the matching game that you would play today. So verse 15, before he had finished praying, he saw a young woman named Rebekah coming out with her water jug on her shoulder. And she was the daughter of Bethuel, who was the son of Abraham's brother Nahor and his wife Milcah. So Rebekah is Abraham's brother's granddaughter. Okay, they're going to keep it in the family. This was completely normal, completely customary of the day to know who you were, the family you were marrying into, and to arrange a marriage. This was completely regular. So Rebekah was very beautiful and old enough to be married, and she went down to the spring and filled her jug and came up again. And running to her, the servant said, please give me a little drink of out of your water jug. And Rebekah did that. Rebekah gives him a drink. And not only that, Rebekah agrees to draw water out for all of the servant's camels. Now remember, there was 10 camels laden down with gifts for the family that the servant was supposed to find. 10 camels. So this was a huge task. This girl went and took her water jug, filled up the trough for the camels to start drinking. And that was the water jug she was supposed to take home. And she began the long and arduous task of bringing water back to that watering trough for all 10 camels. All 10 camels. So what did the servant see as she did this? He was pondering in silence what she was doing, and the servant recognized that not only was she beautiful and healthy, she was also not a slacker, and she was kind and she was generous. So he's storing these things up. And God, is this the one? God, is this the one? And at last, when the camels had been finished drinking, he took out a gold ring for her nose and 2 large gold bracelets for her wrists. Imagine her surprise. She's doing this for nothing, and she is rewarded with very expensive jewelry. So he goes on and he asks her, whose daughter are you? Please tell me, would your father have room to put us up for the night? And of course, the girl is very generous. She knows the rules of hospitality, and she says, yes, yes. Come back to my father's house. There will be a place for your camels. There will be a place for you. Don't worry about, accommodations. There's no Holiday Inn for him to go to. Travelers of that day were reliant on the people of the hometown where they were to take them in and provide hospitality. That is to provide room and board, to take care of their needs, the needs of the animals. This was also customary of the day. So they are doing things that are just regular everyday things, customary everyday things. The thing that is awesome and supernatural is that God is leading them to each other so that Isaac can have the right wife. So Rebekah goes home. She tells her family about the servant. Her brother runs out of the house after he sees the jewelry. He runs to the servant at the well, still at the well, leads him back to their home, takes care of the camels, beds them down, feeds the camels, all 10 of them, and provides water for the servant and all the camel drivers so they can wash their feet. This was also a very customary item of hospitality. The people would have been traveling in sandals, their feet would have been dirty, and this would provide them a way of freshening up in order to go into the house. Often one of the lowest slaves did this, but this boy, this man, Laban, Rebekah's brother, took it upon himself to do this. So these were very humble people. They did not mind getting down in the dirt and doing these menial things for a servant who was a guest. That's what I want you to see. This was the royal welcome that the servant of Abraham received. And of course, the meal is served. And the servant says, no, I want to do business first. I want to take care of the reason why I was here before I eat, before I accept your hospitality. Let's get down to the business at hand, which is what he came for. And he explains the whole story. He says that he is the servant of Abraham, that he married Sarah, that they have a son, Isaac, that Abraham is very wealthy, that everything that he owns, he is leaving to Isaac, and that he is there searching for a wife for Isaac. So he tells them everything. And what does this tell Rebekah's family? That Isaac can care for a wife. He has enough sustenance. She will want for no material thing. This is important to the parents of the girl. They believe in God. That's even more important. And God is leaving the servant to Rebekah. So what can they say after all of this? The response of the family is, the Lord has obviously brought you here, so there's nothing we can say. Here is Rebekah. Go and take her. Let her be the wife of your master's son, as the Lord directed. So what does this tell the servant now? The family also believes in God. They trust the servant, and they yield to God's will. So, of course, they bring Rebekah back into the room, and they ask Rebekah the next day, what do you think you should do? Will you go with this man? And she says, yes, I will go. And that is what we should say when God has leaded us up to a point where we know that it's the Lord's leading to do something absolutely amazing. Rebekah had no idea what Isaac looked like, had no idea what kind of temperament he had. All she knew was a few basic things. He believed in God. He would take care of her needs, and she would want for nothing. She had no idea, though, she was on the precipice of being in charge of the next generation for kingdom business. That she would bring forth the next generation that would bring forth the 12 tribes of Israel. So I want you to have a wonderful, wonderful day and a wonderful weekend.